Yeah, we on the Sistahship. Roll with us, we on the Sistahship. Yeah, we on the Sistahship. Roll with us, we on the Sistahship. Sistahship, we got it now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Sistahship. We got it now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Sistahship. We got it now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We got it now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
My sisters, we got this. My sisters, you roll with me and I'll roll with you. With my sisters, we got this. Sisters, you roll with me and I'll roll with you. Oh, sis, we know we on a mission, no games. Help each other bring change. Cause we've been through the rain. Now it's time to shine like flame. Let's talk about life and skills. Building up our quality, the right wills. We rolling out of comedy, love, hills. So we become the prodigy of how a sistership could be a really hot commodity. Stand together, we united, hold hands. Support each other's dreams and our plans. Doing everything we can. Come on! Just to show we understand the power of a friendship, family, life on purpose. Together we learn it. Yeah, let's talk. We don't want to see you hurt, and we here for each other. No matter the color networking. Yay! Yeah,
we on the Sistahship. Roll with us, we on the Sistahship.
Yeah, we on the Sistahship. Roll with us, we on the Sistahship. With my sisters, we got this. Sisters, you roll with me and I'll roll with you. With my sisters, we got this. Sisters, you roll with me and I'll roll with you. We got it now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
We got it now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
We got it now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about. Let's talk about. Hey, woo! We on the Sistahship.
Roll with us,
Sistahship. Mama C, the Sistahship, it is all yours. Take over.
All right, go ahead, Tiffany Rowe. I'm turning it over to you.
Good day, everybody. Oh my God, it's been a few minutes since I've seen all these beautiful faces, this rainbow coalition that we got going on today, and I love it. I am your girl, TiffanyRowe.info, Bay Row Real Estate, and we are on the last day of Black History Month. And so we are, I'm going to say for us, this is what Black future looks like. We have all type of businesses and we hear about empowerment. And then we're going to be rolling into March, which is National Women's Month. So, you know, it's on and popping forever when it comes to the sistership. I am so thankful to be here today. Well, first, before we even start, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I was on a Bible-lation last night with verses with D'Angelo. So today I am celebrating my girl Gabby, who AKA y'all know her as her, with my long ponytail because she came and showed up and showed out last night.
Did. Yes,
and it felt so good. So I am bringing all that vibe from last night into today. Today our show is about colorism. Within ourselves.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. And we have such beautiful queens with us today. You know, I am always on the ship. I am always watching the ship with my Oracle and my Lady Wisdom and my Lady Kay is all up in the house today. And we have special people with us today. And I am so thankful that Sherry brought her girlfriend, Rayshawn James, to our table today, to our ship today. So I want to start off with Mama C. How are you doing today on this Sunday, last day of Black History Month?
Ooh, girl, I am feeling fine and fabulous. How's that for you?
That is all we need to hear, because that's what we need.
You know, we talk about colorism today, but on the Queen Age Wisdom Talk Show, we're going to be talking about ageism at some point. So, hey, I
don't remember when it happened, but I was told I was an auntie. I don't know what happened. I used to be the one with the pasties, and now I'm the auntie. I don't know what happened. I don't know when it happened. Lady Wisdom, how are you today? We haven't been on a show together. I think maybe this whole year. Oh my God.
She said it like the whole year had come and gone. We still got plenty of shows and plenty of time. I'm doing well. Busy, but no complaining.
Amen. Lady K. Oh,
Hi, everybody.
Color. I'm loving the blonde. Give it to me. How are you doing today?
Listen, I'm good. Today is a great day. Today's my mama's birthday, so I get to celebrate it with my queen.
Happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, ladies.
Tell the mother queen that we said happy birthday, the mother queen. Yes. And Ray Sean James, please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Ray Sean James. I've lived in Pennsylvania for about 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually own a business in East Stroudsburg, and I'm doing a lot. I'm homeschooling, I work. I got 2 little girls, and I'm just happy to be here. And a couple of days before my birthday, so I'm feeling very blessed.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Very blessed. And as the show continues, we want to learn a little bit about your business.
Yes.
However, colorism.
Okay.
Colorism within. And
well, she can work well with you, Tiff. She is Lady U-Haul. She has a U-Haul spot.
Lady U-Haul.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Now we're going to.
Got a U-Haul place in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
All right.
A female doing it. I'm loving it. That's already, because I know that is very male dominant.
Male dominated.
Very much so.
Thank you.
So again, I'm just loving that first and foremost. Second thing is that we are on this mountain. Hello. I'm just saying.
We here.
Guess what? Brown people skiing too. So that being said, when I thought about this topic, and I know I brought it to the table. However, I will say, I know every single woman here it's been in our head. It's just a matter of how it has related to us. Right. And for those out there, hi TV land, hi Facebook. For you guys out there, and some of my cousins, my Caucasian cousins, I love you. So I want you to know some of this might sound crazy because you're like, huh? What are you talking about? Colorism, black people, you're all black people. You're just black people. I don't understand what you're talking about. Let me explain something to you. Within the black community, within the brown community, there has always been, at least in this country, there's always been the shades. And as early as back as, let's say, post-slavery, we're going to go into during, but after slavery, the brown paper bag syndrome. And so we want to share a little bit about what that's about, because today you may hear some stories, you may hear some challenges, you may hear some things and say, why? Because it's deeply rooted. The pros and the cons, but there's a lot of cons. So it is very deeply rooted. And one of the issues, and this might end up being, sometimes we have to have a part 2. I don't know, maybe, sometimes it goes down like that. However, but today, want to just share what we experience, and then as women. So today, it's women talking today. Sometimes we bring the brothers in. I know they go through their things too, but women through the shades of brown or through the shades of blackness. This is a piece called Black is Black. Okay. And this is one of the first ethnic pieces I got. I don't know if you can see it. And this is the female, and this is the male. Poncho Brown, which is an amazing artist, did this piece. Mm-hmm. And it had the colors of, just different shades, because we are a rainbow. Hello, $1 billion Fenty company. Hello, $1 billion Fenty company, with all the colors of the foundation. So I'm just letting you know, we come in an array of beauty. So today we want to share some of the experiences, and we want to talk about some of the triumphs and how to overcome some of the pieces of challenges that we endure as a people, because we know outside of our race, we already dealing with stuff. But let's start with some root work today. Let's start with some root work. So we do have rays here. Now, growing up, I think everybody seems to like to say you're not born prejudiced, prejudging. I always say there's a difference between racism and prejudice. Okay, so you're not born prejudging. However, there is some deep-rooted stuff that when you are in the womb, you're dealing with some ancestry problems and challenges, as well as gifts. So in the shades of growing and coming through, I'll start with Mama C. Mama C, have you endured anything just based on the complexion of your skin within our race?
Absolutely. And we were just talking about it before we began the program today. And all my life, I've been white girl, red bone, albino. I'm probably forgetting some, but I always overlooked it. I didn't take it personally until I got it from a Black man. I had never experienced racism until I had a Black man, and he was a pretty prominent pastor in New York City, and still is. And I was having a meeting with him, and he referred to me as high yellow. But the way, and see, people have called me high yellow all my life, but the way he said it, there was something behind what he said that really cut to the core of my soul. And I was just saying to the ladies, I went home that weekend. It happened on a Friday. That weekend, I was one of the saddest weekends I've ever had in my life, because it cut to the core and I felt it in a different way. And it wasn't until my brother called me, and he could tell by my voice something was wrong, and I was telling him what had happened. And he had a lot of travels and experience in the South, and he kind of helped me to get beyond what I was feeling a little bit. And it was when I wrote my third, as a result of that experience, in the writing of my third book, that's entitled High Yellow, But a Black Woman Forevermore. That weekend, I'll never forget, I spent the whole weekend depressed and sad. And I woke up, I think it was that Sunday morning, and this piece just came out like someone was pouring it out of me. High yellow, but a Black woman forevermore. And it made me realize that I don't have to accept other people's perceptions of me. The only perception of me that mattered was the perception I had of myself. And people are going to be people, and everybody's got their own issues. And so, I had to accept that. But in the process, I had to accept who I am and not allow other people to define who I am based on my complexion.
Based on your complexion.
Yeah.
And I would say too, and I wanted to share with you, I wanted you to share first, because you are our queen mother. And so you've walked this journey longer, you've experienced things longer, and there's different times in history that it hits different. And I think that's something for us to also begin to understand, that, depending on when this is taking place, because, being called, and again, I grew up in an all Black, it wasn't predominantly Black neighborhood, it was an all Black neighborhood. And with literally within my community, sprinkles of light complexion brown girls. So I grew up around all chocolate friends, all chocolate families. And again, now dealing with the mostly 97% single mothers. Okay. So, and poverty. So let's put all that in that. And I remember the first time I didn't understand being asked, what are you?
What are you? Yeah.
What are you?
What?
Yeah. What are you?
So now I say that, and I want to ask Sherry and Mama C, and again, everybody has their story. So growing up in the third grade, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I was studying Dick Gregory as a child, and all of it, because I felt like I had to find the Black part. Like I had to know this history and so much understanding, because I always heard of the issues that darker skinned Blacks had outside of these 5,000 apartments that I lived in. Okay, because within the 5,000, I was the one you wanted to beat up all the time. Let me just say, in this environment, I was the kickstand. Okay, but I always felt like, okay, but once I get outside of these buildings, there's going to be another story. So I got to be prepared for it. Okay, so I want to know, as being fair-skinned or lighter skinned, did you find that you had to be able to have more dialogue or have more information in order to be Black amongst Black people?
Jerry, I'm gonna let you take that one. I'm gonna let you begin that one.
I think one of the hardest things for me is when I went between Brooklyn and Queens growing up. And I remember being small, but I also remember being surrounded by a group of people. And when they surrounded me, they were actually protecting me because of how light I was. And we was coming across a gang that was coming past us. They were afraid for me that something was going to happen to me. And I was really little, so I really had no idea. But I grew up in a mixed, at about 9 years old, I moved to Queens, and I stayed in Queens until I moved out of Queens and came here to Pennsylvania. And in the process of it, I always tried to fit in. And I felt like I always had to try to fit in. Now, I can't speak for all light-skinned women, so I'm going to speak for me. And some of the light-skinned women that I know for a fact, because we've had the conversation, people think that because that's the way they portray it, was like with back in slavery time, Willie Lynch not only taught the slave owner how to make a slave, he taught them how to twist the mind of a whole race, which technically we're ethnicity and not a race, because the human race is the only race. But in that, what he taught was lights and darks to go against each other. So when I would get into a fight or get into an argument, I always had to defend my Blackness. I read the book of Malcolm X, The Invisible Man. I'm very well read, but I also hurt too, because earlier, Mama C and we was all having a conversation, and I was too light. I was always a reminder to the white man that the black people were tampered with, and I'm saying tampered because it wasn't voluntarily. And then I was
touching about that later too. I'm going to share with that.
And I happened to be also so light that I wasn't considered Black. I'm 50 now, and in my 50s, I have people that will tell you, I was on another radio show, and I was the good white woman on that show. I have gray hair now, so if I don't open my mouth, you don't see a Black woman. I am thought to be a white woman. And the things that is said around me is hurtful and is harmful, and it makes me angry. But I also found that a lot of us, light skin, and like I said, the conversation I've had with some as a group, we are the most self-conscious
A lot of light-skinned people, just for those that don't know, are self-conscious. They are not conceited. They are not cocky and stuck up. That is the image that they will give you in the world, is that we are cocky, that we are conceited. We think we too good for people. We are no better than the next man. And majority of us have such insecurities inside of us that's what you find. We defend our insecurities.
Okay. All right, because I had church, and I want to say a hallelujah and an amen. If you need to burn a candle, just burn it, but burn it right there, because you don't want to leave what's happening right now. So as we go through and we are sharing, some of the things we just talked about was ethnicity, and we was talking about Willie Lynch. So why all of this is important? Because again, like I shared in the top, it's some deep rooted pieces. It's not just with the surface, it's some deep rooted pieces. And before I want to go to our special guest today, Lady K, let's share a little bit. What type of experiences have you dealt with colorism?
Okay, so my grandmother, just a little bit more shade darker than Mama C, right? And then, my mom is a shade darker than her. We're not too far from those. So we always was considered, oh yeah, that's perfect. And you got pretty skin. I mean, from the time I was little, and nothing against white people, but they always come to me, your skin is so pretty. What do you put on your skin? And I'm a little girl, I'm like, water, so water, but I never had to really dealt with, oh, you think you're cute. I already know people around me, they'll just look at us. And plus, my mother would dress us nice. So, they will look at us and think like, oh, okay, that, that's their deal. That's what they do. However, one of the biggest things that I really went through as far as colorism, when I was in a relationship with someone and he was darker than me, I mean, he was real dark, and he felt so sensitive about his skin color. He used to tell me, he said, I only date women around your color or lighter. And I said, why? And he said, because when I was younger, I got teased so bad. So he said, if I have children, I would want to have children, with a lighter woman. So I'm like, okay, so we do have a child together, and my child is like my complexion. But the funny thing about it, the twist about that, when we separated and he got with someone else, the young lady that he was, she's lighter than me, but the kids he had with her are darker than my kids and darker than me. And he never wanted his kids to go through what he faced. So again, I never really went through it, but this being with him, it taught me like, wow, that's what you go through. Because he really felt so insecure about himself because of, he was always teased. Yeah. Wow. So that's when I really got to, experience, someone that was close to me and they was just going through that. And I was like, wow, because I never did, because everything was always, your skin is so beautiful, your skin is so flawless. So I'm like, my whole life, I'm like, okay, great, thank you. So I always took it as a compliment. So I never really had to do that, worry about that battle.
I had shared with Tifco over the week. One of the things that I wanted to discuss today is, based on the colorism that you felt, and maybe some of the PTSD that you've been through, you have because of what you've been through, did you date with that kind of concept? And you just went right in and shared that, because I find that a lot of people do date with these thoughts. I've dated the rainbow. And honestly, to be honest with you, I've only dated within the Black race. I've never dated outside of. So for anybody out there that's always wondered, anybody that been lying on their penis about me, you ain't touched me. I'll be honest, okay? I never did that outside. But that being said, I don't know if subconsciously or consciously, conscious bias or what have you, I chose a very chocolate man, and my children, they don't have to always question, they're not always being questioned of their ethnicity. And then we have a lot to talk about. I'm glad, sometimes, I wish the show was 3 hours today, but Ray Sean, first of all, thank you so much for showing up today and showing out and being a part of the Sistahship and the Lady U-Haul, East Stroudsburg, Lady U-Haul, East Stroudsburg. I want y'all to know, Lady U-Haul.
Yes.
Share with us some experiences that you have gone through and based on being a chocolate sister.
Now that listening to everybody, I just realized that I grew up having a bias against light-skinned people.
Wow.
I just realized it because where I grew up, it was always that the light-skinned girl was talked to by guys, approached by guys, and me and my dark-skinned friends, and I had 2 light-skinned friends too, we were like the last to be approached.
Wow.
And I never, like I said, I just realized that just listening to everybody that, so me growing up, when I was dating or anybody, I would look for the darkest person. If you were light, I might have tried to date you, but in my mind, it wasn't going to work because I had a problem with it because of how I grew up and how I was treated from being dark skinned.
Wow.
So like Sherry did say that light skinned people they don't act, some of them don't act conceited. On the flip side of that, I grew up with people who did act conceited and took advantage of being light skinned, to make somebody, my complexion, feel bad.
Wow.
Feel bad. And
you know what? I just have to say to you, thank you for admitting that, for sharing that with us, because that's what we were, before we began the show, we said the resolution for this particular issue
is being honest,
getting our own head together, acknowledging where we are with this whole process. And I'm like you, Tiffany Rowe, I like chocolate. Okay, all my men have been chocolate. Okay, I don't like chocolate. Okay, I'm gonna be real about it. Tiffany's daddy was blue black. Okay, I loved it. My father hated him because he was dark skinned.
Yes, he was.
And he hated him because he was dark skinned. And I hated my dad. First of all, as you all know, my daddy sexually abused me as a child. So I hated my daddy. And of course, I hated anything that he would hate. I just would not be in tune with anything that he would hate. And I never understood the color thing. Why are we hating on each other because of complexion? For me, it was always about character. What kind of person are you? You know what I'm saying? Because trust me, I know some lighter skinned women who I would never make friends or want to even be around. Okay, but I also know some darker skinned women with the same thing. So the bottom line here is, it's about and I agree with Martin Luther King. It's about the content of our character, not the color of our skin.
But you're so not taught that. Because Sherry knows I have a sister who's her complexion. And just thinking about it, a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with my aunt, and my sister was going through something. Right. And my aunt literally said, she'll be okay. She's light skinned. She'll be fine.
What? Okay.
And this is the mentality that I grew up with. This is why I felt how I felt, because it was like, she'll be fine. She's like, and she literally said, and she's 70 years old, and she said, your sister will be fine. She's light skinned. She always gets over on everybody. So she will be fine.
Wow. And you know what?
Wow. 1 second, Tiff. I gotta jump in for 1 second.
Yes.
I was listening to Ray Sean's. My best friend was actually very dark, and we went through a phase where it kind of flipped, and it was sexy chocolate. So to us, the dark chocolate was in. So there was a phase where they wanted, in our town where it was, they were chocolate. So we weren't dark enough at one point, but we do it to ourselves, because she was dark enough now, but I wasn't dark enough, and she was sexy chocolate. So we're doing it amongst us
Yeah.
And then on top of everything else that's going on. So when
remember, darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
She was darker. She was darker than us, and we were light. But we didn't look at it like that. But every time we went around, it was like, oh, we're the chocolate one, the sexy chocolate thing. And in our minds, we was like, oh, that's but that's my best friend, so I'm not thinking about it. But in reality, we were all on color because she was dark skinned. So we turned around and said, oh, that's chocolate. We even gave her name Chocolate, not realizing how we were creating and continuing a cycle because we were
creating a cycle. So
I wanted to can I piggyback real quick?
Yes.
So I want to say, back in the 90s, the light-skinned guys were in, remember Christopher Terry, all those singers. If you was light, you was in, you was sexy. But like Tiffany said, right now it's shifting now. So right now the chocolate men are in. And that's funny too, because back in the day I used to date light-skinned men, and then I shifted. I was like, nah, I like the chocolate. Then I kind of shifted, and then I went to brown skin. So me personally, I just had a so I wasn't hating on nobody, but I'm just saying certain time periods you see where they stressed it the most, and now it's like a little bit more acceptable because so much has changed.
And that's exactly why I had shared each decade or time frame things shift.
Right.
Sherry had mentioned at the top about Willie Lynch, and anybody joining us now, we are talking about colorism within the Black race. We have beautiful, beautiful women with us today. We have Sherry, Lady Wisdom, Mama C, the Oracle, Camilla, who is Lady K, and our special guest is Ray Sean. And of course, Tiffany Coe is always keeping us grounded and keeping us flowing on this Facebook. So Sherry had mentioned about Willie Lynch and the syndrome of understanding slavery and how the slave master pinned us against each other. And I want to kind of go in that space for a minute. Someone said, I believe it still was Sherry, that had said that how the white, how they tampered with us. So these shades, not all of the shades that you see now, you see a lot of young babies and young kids that are with biracial or families of love. So they were created in love, and that love created the rainbows of colors that we see. However, there was a time where that was not love. The Thomas Jefferson saying that he was in love with this slave that he had all these children with, that was rape because she was owned. So I want to talk about that for a second and go and give us a little bit of history on that. Post-slavery, after slavery, the women of the South had to start running, and they started having to manage the plantations. They were poor. They were poor. They lost the war. They didn't have the free labor, and they also lost a lot of their possessions because of the war. Stuff was stolen. A lot of things happened. So after the war and the slavery was emancipated, the light children and the light slaves of that time were free people, were to the women the curse of what their men were doing. That was showing them in their face that you cheated on me, you did this, you did that, and all these things. So a lot of the light people were banished from the plantations. So where our darker men and our darker women were still, I'm not giving a plus, but we're able to still work on the fields, have a roof over their head and shelter. The light people were almost like the lost children of Israel. Hence why a lot of the light women became prostitutes and were in brothels. So when you see that thing, it almost makes it appear like this is why the Cotton Club came to be. This is why certain things came to be, is because the women were out there sexually performing to be able to feed their babies, because these women didn't want us working in their house cleaning, because we reminded them of that. We were reminders. So this is something which is, again, at that point within the home, the chocolate women were put more on a pedestal than the lighter women were at that particular point. But because we was in this light and it almost became entertainment, then it started flowing into entertainment. And that's when it started to appear that this was the pinnacle of beauty versus brown women. And that's why I say I understand it. I understand when you don't see when other people are giving light to something, other people that don't mean us any good anyway. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter, because I will tell you, when I walk into a room in this 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, that is predominantly white, definitely predominantly white men and definitely predominantly white with a sprinkle of brown men, and I'm probably the only brown female, they don't look at me no different. They don't look at me as they see black.
They don't see that pride that you think
they don't see that, oh, she lighter. They don't see any of that. I'm in environments that's the black girl. You're the first black girl to have this position. You're the first black person to have this type of business. And I'm gonna tell you, I know for a fact, Rayshawn, you are the first black woman U-Haul.
I was just about to say, the faces that I get when people come and get trucks from me. I even had this lady she asked me like 3 times, you own this? And I was like, miss, is it really that hard to believe? And she's like, yes. I've never walked. First of all, she said, I've never walked into a U-Haul and saw too many women. And then for you to be a black woman, I'm shocked. And I was like,
I want to ask you, was it a black woman that said that?
No.
Okay, so then that's why she started with, I never seen that many women. I'm gonna be
honest. I know.
That I know.
I got it. I was kind of entertaining her because I knew what she was thinking. I knew exactly what she was thinking.
Right. I have had people walk into my office and completely go to someone else because there's no way I'm the broker. Forget it. And that's okay. I'll go clean the toilet while I get that check. I'm okay with it. I'm good. I'm good.
Come on, girl. Come on. Hello.
We started this part talking about Willie Lynch.
Wow.
But it actually carried on. I remember being a teenager. I was probably about 15 years old. Never forget it. 14 or 15 years old. I think I was more so about 15, close to around that time frame. I'll never forget one of my friends. At least I thought she was my friend. So thinking that she's my friend, I used to share things with her that I didn't share with other people, clothes, conversation, stuff like that. So we met a group of guys that was neighborhood guys. And this particular guy, he really liked her. But his friends, he had a couple of friends that liked me. So he had a light-skinned friend that liked me, and he had a dark-skinned friend that liked me. And he turned to her. He was being nasty because the 2 friends was fighting over to see which one of them could get me. And he was being nasty with his mouth. And I'll never forget hearing it because she changed towards me after that. She knew where my diary was. She knew about me personally. So at this point, I saw the change when he said to her, I literally heard him say, she's the prettiest. She's only hanging with you because you're dark skinned and you're not as beautiful as she is. She could have any guy that she wants, but she hasn't chosen either of my friends. And you only hang with her so you could get her leftovers.
Wow.
And
whoa.
Wow.
I told him that wasn't true. Like, I'm trying to defend myself. I was like, that's not true. What are you talking about? She's my friend. That girl took my diary. She read it to the neighborhood. Ooh. She started calling me names. She brought some girls from another town to come.
She wasn't your friend.
To fight me. Well, I didn't know it at the time until after that conversation. I heard this young man say to her. So I think I was 15. So that made him about 17 or 18 years old. And he was having that conversation with her. And at that point, she turned, she looked at me, and she changed towards me.
Wow.
Now, anybody that knows me knows I know a lot of people. I associate with a lot of people, but a lot of people don't know me intimately, and I can't let nobody get that close to me again. Because when I tell you that broke something inside of me.
I know it did. I know it did. I felt it. I felt it right now. I actually share. If I was there, I would be holding you because I heard the little girl just now. I'm going to say one of our challenges as women is, we're talking about colorism today. However, the competition within each us. And a lot of times we allow that male piece to be the factor in which how we operate and how we move. So, we need to work on that because we don't need to compete for men. And the other thing is too, yes, her issue, a lot of people, I've heard that. I've heard men say, which is horrible, oh, she's pretty to be dark skinned. I've heard that statement. But that's a bag that comes from that grandmother, that great grandmother, that mother. My grandmother, when the guy I dated prior to Sean was a darker man, and my grandmother, she's dead now, but was a darker woman, married a very fair man and had her children. And when I had brought that guy to meet my grandmother, she without a second thought, I did all this to lighten up the family for you to do this.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's the first thing that came out of her mouth. I did all of this. Wow. So in reality, so she didn't, when you say something like that, when that's your headspace. Now, I'm not saying she didn't fall in love with my grandfather, or they didn't love me. I'm not saying, but I will say mission work was to choose a light man because her journey of being brown, she thought all her problems would go away. The problems that I have is based on this complexion. And the flip side, me being a child who was fair, and the kids around me growing up told me, you need to put peanut butter on your face so you can be darker. You just look, put some peanut butter on your face. Wow. So the PTSD from me being this little girl and trying to fit in and trying to act like that's not a piece, and then the hair and this, and we have all these different levels of how we go about not loving ourselves.
Right. Yes. Right. And it's true. There's so many
insecurity.
Issues. Right. There's so many issues that
like I have some people that would not associate with me, or like if they had a 10-foot pole between us, like they wouldn't let me get close enough, and I sure as hell wasn't letting nobody else get close to me. But the purpose of that was because of they preset, that prejudice that Tiffany was talking about. They prejudged me because I was light skinned. I had long hair. There was a point where I would not let my hair grow past my shoulders. I would always get it clipped so it hit my shoulders. You couldn't say, because now I'm light skinned, you're such a I would be called light skinned B. I thought I was better than people because my hair was long, or you got good hair, or you don't understand what it's like. No, I'm a person. So now I was insecure for a lot of years. So then you get the insecurity when we did like the body dysmorphia, like in your mind, when we talked about people talking about your size. So now you're a big, high yellow woman, and you think you better than everybody. What? Anytime somebody says to me that I think I'm better than them, no. You think I'm better than you.
Hello.
Right. You know what? Can I say something real quick, Tiffany?
Yeah.
When you talk, I hear there's a lot of like people that look towards light Black people. Oh, they think they cute. Like that's what you always hear. They think they cute. You know why? Because it goes back to slavery. The light skins were in the house. Those were the house, quote unquote, house niggers. So if you was able to get in the house, if you too dark, you gotta stay out there in the field. So that's where it stems from, and they still continue to roll with, oh, she thinks she's cute because she's like
it felt
you know what? the light-skinned women in the house were being raped.
Yeah,
constantly.
that's the other piece. Yeah,
I think I'd have taken the field over the house any day than to have someone raping me at will, and I had nothing that I could do to help myself.
And other than cut my own know that.
Before we continue on, ladies, before you continue on, let me just say that the chat room has a lot of questions in there. People are asking questions. I have Marcy in the chat room, and she says she wonders if white women have any idea about this issue, or if it would have an impact on them. Jane is also Spicy, which Spicy is also in the chat room as well, and she said, and so is Stephia. And she says that's the same issue that they're having in the Italian culture as well. So it's just not our culture that experiences it, but I think it's just that we are now just coming out to talk about it. And as you guys go on, I'm listening to everybody go on here, and I said, we talked about it the meeting before we got on, and we said it all starts with the kids and how we raise the kids. And I realized when my mother was talking, that I had asked her a question, Mommy, how come you're white and I'm Black? Mm-hmm. But now I realized, because it was already being installed in me as a child, because I was always questioned, where I didn't have a problem with my color, but on the outside, when I went on the outside, I was always asked, is your mother Spanish? Is your mother white? What is she? Right. And this was already, it was
that's mentally messing me up. What?
That's that crazy stuff.
Right. What? Mm-hmm. So one of the things Sherry said, and you guys co-signed, is when they say, oh, you think you're cute, and you said, no, you think I'm cute. So I want to say something in reference to that to young people. I can say I remember being an adult, that was my comeback as an adult. I wasn't mature enough as a child to have a comeback. I took it all in.
Yeah.
I took it all in. So, and any parent out there that are raising children that may have these type of challenges, this is something to have that dialogue so that they can protect themselves, so that they don't get a lot of this. If you're able to protect yourself as a child, as this is coming at you, you're not going to have this 15, 16 years before then it becomes everything. Yeah. And that kind of is what has happened to us growing up. We went, and that's what I say, going through the different stages. As far as I know that in the white race and maybe in other races, they deal with colorism. However, what I will say is, and I'm not taking away, pain is pain. Pain is pain. There is systemic pain that was created in this country based on color. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't so much caught up in this country based on the shades of white. And I've also learned within that, I've heard many Caucasian women, they put their arm, oh, I'm darker than you, I'm darker than you. I get that a lot. And they say, yeah, I have olive in my skin. And I'm like, that's always been a strange thing. And I know somebody's going to beat me up for that. That's been a strange conversation for me, because, and when they think of olive, what are they thinking of? Like the green olive or the black olive? And because olives come in a lot of different complexions. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's because, Hannibal was there. Italy is a boot away from Africa. It just is. So there is definitely race mixing or ethnicity mixing. I want to fix my language because Sherry helped me out with that. Ethnicity that has been fluid in certain areas. Every war, we are talking about slavery. We always hear about the wars that we lose. There's a lot of wars that we won. So we are all over the place. We've conquered as well. So yes, there is going to be Italians that are darker and things like that. But in this country, systemically, with laws, with codes, there has been challenges. Again, if you're not darker, if you're lighter than this, darker than this brown paper bag, we're not going to serve you. Right. Colored in the rear. Don't sit here. So that being said, in this country, systemically through law, There's been challenges. So I hear you. I wanted to touch base on the chat room. I hear you, and I receive it. I do receive it. I really do. I don't want it to come across this making her pay more. But legally, the pain here, there was constitution and everything that went along with that here. So I want us to really, you know, have more of a, and one of the things too, if you are sympathetic to what you are hearing, thank you. But if you are empathetic and you're taking it in and you're going to start to see you as me, as I have seen myself as you, because I'm going to tell you something, brown people are the most forgiving people ever.
This is true.
Very, very true.
Right.
So, and that's because we are filled with empathy. We will say, save France, don't hurt Asians, don't do this, don't do that. But the minute someone says Black Lives Matter, it's a whole, oh my God, do you know what's happening right now? Do you know what's happening? This is a cult. This is a, so let's let you know, I say that again to my chat room. You know, I love you guys. I love you, love you, love you, love you. What is your thoughts about, we got some healing that we need to do so that we can just be so much of a more goddess that we are deserving to be as a whole. All women, we are goddesses. We got to work on this because I'm so thankful. If you're just tuning in, Rayshawn had shared that being here today peaked to open a hole for her to like, yo, I really did think this about light people and how your journey's just been, you know, so much different. Now, talking about these guys, because I want to get off of being all preachy right now. Talking about these guys, okay, let me tell you something. My best friend, when I was younger, chocolate, Puerto Rican, Ecuadorian, she looked like Vanity, and then it was me. I was the last one that a boy wanted to talk to, okay? Every time the three of us was together, Michelle had a good juicy, and she was like, oh, you know, boom, that was my chocolate sister, and she had a nice body. And then Janet, you out there, Janet, if you watching on the Facebook today, Janet, she was like, you know, the like Lady K, your complexion, her ethnicity, Puerto Rican, Ecuadorian, and then it was me. I was flat boobs, flat butt. I was hips. You know, I always tell you the party's left to right, But if you want front to back, it ain't here. I ain't got nothing back there. So, nobody was checking for me. And again, we go back to that competition amongst. So some of this colorism, I think some of the healing can start with not for women, for us not competing with each other.
Exactly. I mean, we're all beautiful and we all bring something. We're all designed to bring something to the world table. Let's bring it and share it and be our best. And, you know, when you talk about empathy, Tiffany, one of the things that, you know, I realized for me as a person who's an empath, I've always, and having gone through the childhood that I went through that was very painful, I always wanted to take on everybody else's pain because I knew what pain felt like. And I never wanted to hurt other people because I knew what pain felt like. I never wanted to do that to anybody. Even now at 67 years, I'm still like that. And I stay pretty much to myself. I have people who are part of the Sistahship, part of my tribe. But outside of that, I'm very leery of people and their issues. And whatever their issues are, you have the right to have your issue. But I don't choose to be a part of that issue. I think the whole process has to begin with us loving ourselves, caring for ourselves, understanding that it begins with us, not trying to create a better world for everybody else. It begins with us. And if each one of us took the time to treat ourselves better, engage in the level of self-love that's so important. You know, that's what my week mastering the fine art of the science and fine art of self-love is all about. We've got to love ourselves. That we're walking around talking about loving somebody else and we hate ourselves. That doesn't work. We can never truly love other people until we learn how to love ourselves and how to permission to step away from people who are hurtful. You know what I'm saying? We don't tolerate it. We don't put up with being mistreated or a name call, none of that. So we've got to be better to ourselves so that we can be better to other people. And only then I think is when the world will begin to become a better place. But it begins with us. As I said earlier, we are the first teacher. Women, all women, I don't care what complexion you are. All women are the first teachers of mankind, of humankind. And so we have to understand that that's a powerful role, which requires that we do some powerful work on ourselves. And whatever has infected our souls, we've got to clean out that garden. Allow God to clean that garbage out, pull them weeds out of the garden of our souls, so that when we go inward and spend time with ourselves, we're in a place that we love and we feel good about ourselves, and we recognize our power, our purpose, and all that we bring to the table of life.
Well, let me ask this question in here, because I want to make sure that everybody has a voice. So, which is one of the reasons why we needed to bring the Rainbow Coalition in on this today. Because we've heard about the light skin pain. We've heard about feeling certain kinds of way in the insecurities that we have. So I'm asking my sisters, there's 3 of you on our panel that could give us 3 different flows and flavors. I'm asking you, teach us something that we don't know. Like a lot of people didn't know that there's a lot of light-skinned women that have insecurities about their look and not feeling Black enough or feeling accepted in the community. Teach me, tell me something that I don't know, because I'm not your complexion, but something that I might have been taught. Help me retrain my mind to know what it was, something that you've experienced that I may have done unconsciously, not knowing, or someone around you has, a family member or something. Something that Ray Sean said earlier blew me away when she was like, my aunt is 70 years old and she said, my sister's light skin, she'll be all right. Like nothing in my wildest dreams could have called for a family member to say that. So I learned that part. But you as a woman, you as a beautiful milk chocolate lady, teach me something that I don't know that could help me. So when I'm there and I hear an insecurity in a young mind, I'm able to help bless them with something different than the negativity that I might have been taught.
Do you think one of the things that we might want to start working on, which is going to be levels of working on, when we are giving descriptions of people, do we then start to, why are we saying that, oh, they're butter pecan recan? Or, again, maybe there's Tiff Co, that's Tiff Rowe. Oh, which one? Do we going to say the light skin one? There's a Tiffany's. Which one? The light skin or the dark skin one?
Yeah.
Do we want to stop utilizing that language as description for each other?
Well, I actually, when I was raising my kids, and let me tell you, they are no longer kids. They are raising their own kids right now. When I was raising my kids, I didn't want to choose one part of me over another part of me. So when my kids would describe somebody, I'd be like, well, who was the little girl with the red hair? Or who was the little girl with the orange dress on? And so my kids, they would actually know exactly who identified by what they were wearing. And so I taught them not to identify the little white boy or the little white girl. No, we don't do that. That's not okay by me. So I would teach my kids to identify people, or the little girl with the orange glass frames. She has the frames, the orange frames, and kids take notice to those kind of things.
Deeper.
So now my youngest is going to be 27. So this is how long ago I was raising them and teaching them that. That is another way that you could teach your little ones to describe people versus, or I could even say the girl with the blonde hair, you know, Lady K with the blonde hair. They would know, they would remember, oh yeah, she did have blonde hair. Okay. And that's what they would, that was good for them. I've done that, but I still want to bring this back to my sisters teaching me something I don't know about them.
Right. I think one of the biggest things too, Sherry, that you can say to someone, you know, I'm just like you, because when you hear the words like I'm like you, like, what do you mean? I hurt like you, I bleed like you, I feel like you. You know, just because we have different shades, that doesn't mean that I'm different. I want the things that you want. So treat me as you would want to be treated, but indirectly, I don't think people get that.
The golden rule. I think if we go back and really understand the value of the golden rule to treat others as you want to be treated and
Absolutely.
keep that in the forefront of our minds, I think maybe, just maybe, that could make a big difference in terms of how we see each other and ultimately treat each other.
Yeah, it's true.
Amen. And I always say that's my religion. My religion is love and the golden rule. So if you, I always want to ask you, what's your religion? I always say it's love and the golden rule.
Well, you know what? The golden rule is love. Boom.
Boom.
You can't follow the golden rule and not love. It's impossible, okay? Unless you being a real big fake and phony. And fakes and phonies come with an energy you can feel instantly.
But they come in all colors and creeds.
Absolutely. It's the vibes you need to be feeling and sensing for, using those intuitive senses to feel out whether or not you're dealing with someone who is genuine and authentic.
Absolutely.
And being your authentic self. Rayshawn, and I'm gonna say Kalima too, because again, growing up, I really didn't. I really felt that people out. I wasn't one that was thinking of the different shades of brown. Okay, I didn't really think that way. I just knew that I thought everybody else was darker than me, and that was it. Like I didn't say, okay, this one's caramel, and this one is closer to mocha. And this one is, you know, it was just, and again, because I grew up in Rochdale. Everybody know I grew up in Rochdale Village, okay, in the 70s and the 80s. So it was like there was a sprinkle. And I will say this, that with that being said, there was a time where it became where light-skinned people started to pack because you felt like you needed to be together. And when I did go to junior high school, I gravitated to Spanish people. I'm not Spanish. People always thought I was, but because that was safe. Now, I will say this being who I am taught me to be tough, taught me to, you know, when you say, oh, she thinks she's cute or she's stuck up or whatever, I will have to say for me, I was always in fight mode. I don't know if that's stuck up or not. Anybody that really know, like, you know, I got people on here that knew me because I use my maiden name. So you know me when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You knew me through high school. My record, if somebody ask somebody, you know what I'm saying? This girl was out of her damn mind. She was out of her mind. She didn't argue with you. If you were in her sector, all you needed to do was be a arm length and a jump. It was on. I was fighting.
Like she was a friend of yours, huh, Ray?
Yes, she does. I was just about to say, yes, she definitely does.
Let me tell you, I'm with you, Tiffany Rowe, because let me tell you something. It was either fight or get your butt whipped, okay?
Right.
And so the bottom line here is, I think I was 15 when I realized, girl, if you whip one more person the way you whipped that girl, you going to jail. My friends had to take me and run me upstairs on the roof and hide me until the police left.
Yeah.
And I mean, because if
Crazy.
somehow, for whatever reason, maybe we grew up feeling like we had to fight, we had difficult lives growing up, whatever. But I always felt like I had to fight my way through until 15, when I had this epiphany up on that roof saying, girl, you're going to end up with a YD card. If you beat someone the way you beat that girl, one more time, you going to jail. And it was at that point where I decided.
So now y'all see that, you know, sometimes when I leap, y'all know why I leap, right? Oh, mama, see, the apple don't fall too far? Okay, there you go.
And my babies are so sweet, you know, like.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They met the Jesus version. They met the Jesus version.
My granddaughters, they grandmother. I'm sorry. Look, they're going to kick butt if they have to, but they don't bother nobody. They don't bother you if you don't bother them. But if you come after them, you're in trouble.
What I will say is that because of the way I felt growing up, I have 2 dark-skinned daughters, and you can't tell them they not cute.
Good for them. Hello.
You can't tell them they not cute. You can't say you look better than them. You can't tell them they not pretty, because you'll be crazy. Because that is one thing I did instill in them, is that they have the confidence that I didn't have, because I believe I didn't get it from home.
Right.
So I'm making sure that my girls, they definitely have too much confidence, sometimes I say, but they definitely do.
No, they can't have too much. They just know who they are. And you always want to instill in your daughters and your sons to know their worth. Like, we are not teaching. Nobody was teaching us to know. Right, absolutely. A lot of times we don't realize that our confidence and our security comes from our dads. Like a lot of us don't realize that. Like, if you tell me you're going to give me the perception of what how a man should treat me. So the first person that a female falls in love with is her dad. The first person that a male falls in love with is his mom. So if you look at some of these males out here, like, I haven't had a whole lot of relationships, and I can't speak as if I dealt with the Rainbow Coalition, because I haven't. I actually have a friend that just reminded me who he was in my life at one point, a long time ago. But I didn't date outside my race, not because I didn't want to, but because I wasn't chosen.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Would I have given it a chance? Absolutely. I used to have the biggest crushes on some of the boys that I grew up around, or was in meetings with, or was able to partake in youth things with, but they just wouldn't look at me. So, you know, like, a lot of times we like to say that you could have anybody you want. I don't know if y'all remember this, but did y'all ever see that movie, Just Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Latifah in the beginning, when she went on that date with that guy.
With Common.
And with Common. Yeah, Common was in the movie, but she went on that date with that one guy, and they was having an amazing time. And then as the date ended, and he told her that he wasn't available, that she'd be a nice home girl, and she was a good person. And then even when Common first was around her, when she was helping him, his attitude was, you know, her and her cousin was, you know, different, right? And she was but I never hear your phone ringing, and you know, like, he didn't see them the same. So in colorism, we also deal with the way we are seen sexually. We are sexualized. We have been sexualized. Video vixens became video vixens because we were sexualized. You have people that feel like because you're dark skinned, or what happened with the doctor? There was a gynecologist that was performing different kind of procedures without giving Black women anesthetics because they were told that Black women could tolerate more pain.
Right.
So there was things that was at one of the statues that they was trying to get taken down in Georgia was based on that.
They were doing some wicked stuff, but it was based on colorism, sensual and sexuality is based on not just colorism, but how the presentation is on a whole.
Well, and the sexualizing of women.
Yeah.
In their minds, Black women to tolerate and put up with anything because that's the way we've been portrayed. We've been sexualized.
Yeah.
That you kind of like can use us up and then discard us.
And that's where we have to jump into our queendom. And these conversations like today are amazing. Vanessa Bell Calloway, that Coming to America is coming back out. Vanessa Bell Calloway, who played the woman who barked like a dog, woof woof. She actually wanted the role that Lisa, the character Lisa has, Sherry Headley had. She auditioned for that role. That's the role she wanted. And she definitely heard that her look, and it was complexion, her look, because clearly, they're both good actresses and trained in however, Vanessa Bell Calloway wanted that role. That's the role she went for. Now, I'm glad I'll be honest with you, I'm glad she got the role she got, because that was the iconic, everyone knows that movie and knows that portion. And now she has a nice role in Coming to America too. However, it was based on colorism. If you look at, there was a situation with the NWA movie where Dr. Dre in 1817, the casting call page said, okay, we want light skin, good looking, da 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 da, and that was the A. And if you came in here, if this is light skin with long hair, da da da, light skin with fake hair is okay too. Medium color this is okay, and then it literally went down. And if you didn't have this level, this is where the line went. If you looked anything under this line, you were out of the movie. And this is NWA of a movie being made now. So in saying all this, what we're talking about with the colorism is it is active today. It is very rampant in Hollywood, very rampant in Hollywood. Now, and it's again, first Black female to have not a supporting role, but a leading, Halle Berry. Again, mixed, she's biracial as well as the role that she played. And what we go through to even get through some of these barriers because of complexion. And this is something like, again, I'm going to say Lady U-Haul, Ray Sean, one of the things that they both shared today and you asked, what can we do and tools, but you already did it and doing it, and you both are doing it, is instilling in the next generation. Some of these seeds we're going to give today is going to go in some old dirt that ain't ready to change. Ain't ready to change. We're not, I saw Tiffany Cole planting some stuff on the Facebook and that's some good new soil. So she putting some good new soil and good new seeds. But you got that office plant that's like huge and you don't want to throw it out because you happy with that office plant. It's big and it's doing all this. You're not ready to put that new fertilize, that new seed. So what you ladies are doing and what we can do as a whole, and what I mean by our Rainbow Coalition, I'm bringing in our Italian women, our Spanish women, all of our women, our Asian women. Let's start now. The mothers, we are mothers. We are the creators. We bring life. So if we're going to bring life and we're going to cultivate life, let's cultivate it at this level right now.
Right.
With change.
Right. And you know what? Another thought, as Sherry was talking, one of the things that I used to hear when I was a teenager, if you were light, you were easy. If you were dark, you would kick ass.
Wow.
Yeah. So the guys would often go after the light-skinned women because they thought we were easy. Okay. And the darker skinned women would give them the screw face attitude. And the attitude and all of that. And so there was this thing where if you're light, you're gonna be, that's an easy one. But if there's a dark one, oh no, honey, you ain't getting none there. Don't go that way, So that was something else that we had to deal with as teenage girls as well.
And I know we're getting
to another topic.
about,
Tiff,
I know
we brings us to another topic, because me and you had a conversation about that, and we were talking about the balance of the
dating. Like the ball players going with the light girls or the white women or things. And again, we got 15 minutes left. So that's a whole other show.
That's a whole other show.
Yes.
Right.
And yes, it does stem again. It stems from deep roots. It stems from having to go through this and what this means and what type of woman is on the magazine cover and what the mindset thinks and who's gonna give them the best kind of booty and who's gonna be the most open and the freakiest, and then how we allow ourselves for the men in competition to be out there. What are we putting on out there? Why are we on the Instagram right now? And not for nothing, Instagram right now is looking butt fool crazy. Ladies, I mean, I'm not saying I'm all about freedom. I'm with it. But there's some, you're a lot of our women out there are talent. There's some talent out there that's getting hidden by the fact that all we see is your everything. Like there's no mystery anymore with our women.
Exactly. That's the younger ones. The younger ones.
Well, now I'm looking at the housewives too, and that they look crazy. I'm like,
but you're talking about people willing to do something for $1. Again, you just said up earlier about the light skin. They didn't want you in the house as a maid, so they had to. They traded off favors. You understand what I'm saying? So unfortunately, the Real Housewives and Basketball Wives. Come on, the reality, that's not even reality. Those are scripted shows.
Right.
Technically, none of them are walking around. If you're a parent, there's no way in hell you walking around in 5-inch heels with a dress on that's tight as every day. Right. You're not putting on no full face or no makeup, and you don't have a hairstylist sitting next to you because women just don't have money like that. That's nonsense and bogus. But you know what they putting that out there? They degrading women again.
Yes.
They doing it for the money. Well, I'm getting my check at the end of the year. At the end of the night, I get my check. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's all about the dollar.
It's about chasing the bag. Huge. But within colorism, what I will say is this, and again, I appreciate all of this wealth. There was a lot of wealth today. It was a lot of fun, a lot of sharing, but a lot of wealth. And I will go back to, again, some of these tools to press through and to have change. And right now, if you got anything today, anyone out there listening and all of our viewers and our listeners, start to use that. Live out loud in that. Live out loud in your workplace. Live out loud in your household. Start looking at yourself and seeing what are some of the unconscious biases that you do. Do you describe us in our complexions? And that's unconscious, because I'm gonna tell you, I know I grew up like that. Oh, that, that like whatever. Let's work on that, because we are bigger and better than that. And now and what did Maya say? Once you know more, you do better and do something. Right. Y'all know it. Y'all better.
When you know more, when you know better, you do better.
You do better.
With the quotes than I am. I appreciate it. And that's what we have to do. That's why I'm so thankful we have from 2 to 3. When do we start? I'm always
2 to 3:30.
Every Sunday, and there's so many nuggets. And if you're listening, guys, repeat some of these shows that we've had and review them, because I'm telling you, therapy in every show. There is free therapy for you guys and for me in every show.
Yeah, me too.
We are,
this is how we change. Yeah, I think this is how we change, because we're so used to, like we were saying, sex sells, and this is what we watch on the TV. And Mama said, we talked about this before, that you can put the trash out there and they watch it for hours. You can put something like this on that's educational, and our attention span is gone. You know, what do you say? We watch it for 2-3 minutes and we're going because it takes a lot to change and people don't want to change. So watching us, this is too educational. Now, if we drop our drawers or something like that, we'll have a whole tons of
no, don't you dare.
You ready? You ready? You might have
All right, y'all better die.
Put it back down. But I want to say something in reference to that, because here's some hope. Here's some hope. Let me tell you something. The first and only female rap artist to go diamond, Lauryn Hill.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw that too.
You know what? That's because she stayed true to herself. And going back, there was something Tiffany says, this is how we're going to change, and not just change, but become better.
Right.
Which is the goal, not to change. You can change for the work, but we want to change in positive ways and become better. We want to embrace each other as sisters, helping each other up that mountain of success and getting there together. And I think that that's so important for us all to keep in mind as we grow forward.
And help, and and together and help each other in some of our issues in which we are voided. I have to say, when I listen to you women talk, and I listen to the other shows, and we have an ensemble of beautiful, beautiful queens, I get pieces that I have been voided with. So I do appreciate you in its entirety, but I want to also put out there that one of the things too that all of us have dealt with, and fair females, and I think you had said it, we are brown women. We are all together. We feel and we go through certain things, and we also understand. I'm not even going to pretend to deal with or pretend to say I know what Rayshawn felt when you're constantly hearing that she's going to be better because she's light. If you heard that in the last decade, then that means you heard that when you was born.
And you know what, Tiffany wrote?
Oh, I definitely heard it.
Oh my God, if that were true, oh my God, I wouldn't have had the life that I had. I had to create a better life for myself. It didn't happen because I'm light-skinned.
Right.
I had to change this and clean up my heart and get away from all the craziness I grew up in, and be determined to be a better human being, not because I'm light-skinned, but because I want to be the best human being I can be.
That's amen.
Wow.
Amen.
Mama said, you said something. I just want to piggyback off real quick. You have to be able to identify the toxicity, because if you don't, you're gonna keep in that place. So that is very profound too. Like, and in order for you to recognize that, you gotta constantly evaluate yourself on a daily basis. This is why it's the work. You can't be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna change, and then on Monday I do this, and then on Friday I do this. No. Every day you have to take the necessary steps so you can stay into place, because if you don't, you're going to veer off and you're going to go right back to your old way. You're going to go right back to toxicity. You don't want that. You can't say, oh, I want to break generational curses, and you're still doing the same crap. It's like,
I'm hanging out with the same people.
Yes.
You gotta remove yourself from toxic people. I have removed myself from toxic people. If I feel any toxic energy, I'm gone. I ain't trying to change you. Like I always say, salvation and transformation is God's job. I'm a messenger, and I want to inspire you, but beyond that, you got to do the work.
You got to do the work. And when we say that in Our Health Matters, when it comes to your health, it's the same thing. Are you willing to change? Because you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again until you get it. So when it comes to your health, there's a road, everything. There's a road that you have to follow in order to do better.
Absolutely.
Definitely a road. Don't leave church on Sunday and curse somebody out. What I will say is this: in your journey and in your path, no, some things are way above my pay grade and what I am knowledgeable and the degrees of which I have in my journey. However, what I will say to you is this: these shows, if you just keep watching, if you take the next, I think we probably have at least, I don't know how many in the pot, but just go from our first shows, even when it was called something else, and come back this way. All right. And Mama C had her shows. You're gonna learn so much. Yeah. And then when you get to that point, your breakthrough. Yeah. You know, when Mama, what's this quote again? God, salvation, something. You just said that.
A salvation and transformation is God's job. Okay. Stop playing God with people and go clean up your own act.
Okay. So that piece there.
All that.
There's stuff that you might have holes in. Listen to these shows. And I'm telling you, there's going to be some salvation in those shows. Because somebody here, your situation, they talked about it. And they going through it, or they've been through it, or they have a breakthrough. I'm just letting you know, this is free therapy. I don't know what y'all know, but I can tell you these therapists is like $250 an hour. I'm just telling you. And all free stuff. Yeah. You guys are getting Lady Wisdom. I always keep saying I'm waiting for the book. What you say, Tifco?
No, I said, even with watching the shows, you said for people to go back and watch the shows, you can see the growth of the sistership. Because if you look at when our show first started to where we are now, if you're traveling with us, you see the growth amongst all of us in doing the show. So if you followed us from a year from now, and Mama C's been doing this for like 30 years, but you can actually take it, because sometimes I look at it so that I can grow, and I say, did we do that? But you can see the growth as we go on.
You don't see the wires anymore. Like you know how in the first Star Trek, you see the globes hanging, and then as it goes, it's like, the wires are gone. We've grown.
Yes, right. And I don't care what your age. I'm 67. I'm still growing, because until I take my last breath, in order to become the best me possible, I have to consent to continuously growing and evolving and becoming a better woman. I am working on allowing God to make me a masterpiece.
Amen. Amen. I'm still working on my masterpiece. That's why I'm always calling you. So, Ray Sean, one of the things you shared. Tell me after this experience, what are you feeling? What's your takeaway?
I feel good that I was able to share it, and I hope somebody else got something from what I said. And I also feel like I'm gonna go outside different. I'm definitely gonna go outside different, because from what Sherry said, the same insecurities I probably was feeling, a lot of my light-skinned sisters was feeling too. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If we would have had a conversation, we would have understood that we both was feeling the same insecurities, but just in a different way. Mm-hmm. So more conversations. We just got to keep talking to each other, because
we have to stop letting people pit us against each other.
Right.
We have to stop letting people pit us against each other. And when we do that, they won't be able to touch us.
Well, like what I said, can you imagine how I felt growing up? Because I've always felt like my light-skinned sister was being treated better because she was light-skinned. So I kind of felt a little animosity, Yeah. And not knowing that she probably felt insecure because she was the only light-skinned one in our family. But because we never had a conversation, and actually, I'm going to talk to my sister today. Because that's a conversation that we never had. So she's probably feeling way more insecure than I felt, because she was the only one.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So now I can have a conversation with my little sister and see how she's been feeling. Because we never talked about it before.
I want us to also be mindful. Okay. Before we wrap up, I also want us to be mindful that we are not at the same age we were when we was experiencing a lot of this.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So we need to be mindful of our experiences to help our younger selves, which is our daughters and granddaughters and nieces, and those that are around us that we touch, where auntie over here Tiffany says she's considered an auntie now. You realize that your nieces and your nephews are paying attention, and you might not have known, might not have paid that much attention because you might have had that auntie that was so cool to you that, that you don't mind being an auntie. Like me, people see me and my, listen, ladies, when I say gray hair, I mean gray, like this gray.
It's all right.
They see in grandma, but at the same time, I want y'all to be mindful of our younger selves and those that are out here that don't know how to have these conversations or are not aware that these conversations exist.
Right.
So you can be a starter of it somewhere, somehow with your loved ones, please. And let me just say this, Ray, this is not the last time you'll be on the show. This show
Lady U-Haul, East Stroudsburg. Lady U-Haul, East Stroudsburg.
We have to continue this because there's so much meat to it.
You know what? When we talk about growth, just by the fact that we do what we do every Sunday, and I do other sessions, I always talked about being raped by the older brother of my best friend when I was 12. About 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
About 2 weeks ago, I remember that I was raped by another family member. And I had totally forgotten about that. And I'm like, wow, I had totally forgotten about that. I had totally wiped it out of my mind, but it came flooding back a couple of weeks ago. And you know what? I feel it right now, but I'm glad that I remembered, because I want to remember the things I need to remember so that I can do better and be better. And that's what this is all about, us learning how to let go of the things and not store them inside of us. And I think it's so important for us all to recognize that we've got to extract whatever it is we've stored inside of us that's weighing us down. And so that we can grow and become the dynamic women God created us to be. Absolutely. So, I mean, this is not just something that's helping others, it's helping us too. And like I said, I remember this situation, it came flooding back at me. And I'm like, wow, I had totally forgotten about that.
And so good and merciful, Mama C.
Yeah, all the time. So now I can extract that and get rid of it. I'm not carrying it around unbeknownst. I remember it now. But it doesn't affect who I am now. It only helps me to become better.
New show topic.
So it is 3:30.
I know, and I want to just really quickly, if we just 1 second, it's a shameless plug, but I'm gonna tag the Sistahship in this. So next week, I don't know if I'm gonna be on, but I will be doing an interview with Javonski Cunningham, a survivor of the R. Kelly for Tiffany Rowe. Wow. And I just want to, in reference to that, what we talked about today, I've, sharing with the sister, there's things about that, part of that confidence piece that brought her into an environment. There are ways that we have to mechanically maneuver through this world. There's so much about colorism that I know even the 6 of us have that we don't even, that has been put back, and that we haven't had the muster to deal with in reference. So today is just touching the surface. I know it's 3:31. We gotta go, but there is so much love. Thank you, Lady Wisdom, aka Sherry, Lady K, Mama C. I'm Tiffany Rowe at Info Tiffany Co. And our guest today, Ray Sean, Lady U-Haul. Thank you so much. We on a Sistahship. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah, we on a Sistahship. With us, we on a Sistahship. Yeah, we on a Sistahship. Roll with us, we on a Sistahship. Sistahship, we got it. Now come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
We got it. Now come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
We got it. Now come on, let's talk.